important.
Exactly. It's the whole piece, and just kind of informational interviewing. I kid that it's the most undervalued tool in the job search kit. My kids like socks, you know, like I always have fun, different socks on. My socks are Argyle today. I won't put my feet right up here on the table, scare anyone. But it's such a valuable tool, and people don't take advantage of it. I mean, about 95% of people say, will you be willing to take the time and speak with me and tell me about your job and how you got into it and why you like it? I mean, people are like, they ask me about my job. They think that my job is cool. Yeah, I can make time tomorrow, you know?
That's right.
It's very flattering.
That's right. And I think, you know, at Harvard Management, one of the things that I always did when I went to a networking event, if I found candidates, even if we didn't have an actual job at the time, if they were somebody that could potentially fit, I would put a little check mark on their resume and I would hold it. And then throughout the month, I would try to see 2 or 3 of those people just informationally to get that network in the door. And, you know, when I left Harvard Management, I have to say, I was pretty proud of the legacy. We were 20% diverse. For an investment management company in Boston, that's
Huge.
That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. And it's just reaching out, and those things you never know how they come back to you.
That's right.
Just taking that little extra effort and kind of helping someone along.
That's right.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the best way to connect to people, because sometimes people are like, oh, I gave so-and-so your number.
Right.
Who was it? I think his name was Joe. You know, it's not helpful.
That's right. I think what I try to do with my clients is, before giving them a phone number or an email address, I usually reach out to my contact and I ask my client, though, and I have a template to help them do it, put together a little summary of their qualifications, because, you know, people are so busy to look through a resume and try to figure out, how can I help this person? Is it really helpful to the contact? Right. So you want to make it as easy as possible for the person to help you. So if they get an email from me, this is why, you know, this person, I'd like to connect this person with you. Here's what they're looking for. Here's a summary of their qualifications, so they can read it in a few sentences and know why I'm connecting them. They're absolutely more apt. I'd say 8 out of 10 times, the person will meet with my client, which is an incredible success number.
Absolutely, because when you know what the person is asking you, you can decide immediately, oh, okay, they're looking in training. Well, I know several people in training that I connect them to, or, oh, they're looking in this direction. But if you get an email and you don't know what the person is asking of you or who referred them to you, they kind of go lower on the list because you can't act on it right away. You're like, oh, how long is this going to take? Will I be able to add value? But if it's specific and precise, it just works out so much better. You know, kind of it's a dual email introduction. I do a similar thing where I actually summarize both people. So people have a good background on each other, so then the conversation isn't like, hi, Manny told me to call you. Both ways they know a little bit about.
Do you do it in writing?
I do it via email, yeah.
That's great, because when I meet with my clients, I tell them about, but it might be good to have it summarized in an email too, so if it's a while before they meet with the person.
Exactly, you never know quite when the follow-up is. And I always give both of them know that the email is coming, but it's just nice to be like, oh, Kim talked to me about this person. And sometimes I talk to people about more than one person, and we all know we have busy lives and things go on. So to have it all in one, it's just kind of nice. And
that's a great suggestion.
People like it, so it's kind of fun.
That's great.
And it just makes it simpler for everybody, and that's the goal.
That's right.
And it makes people look good. My goal is to make people look good and to help people feel good, and to make it as easy as possible.
That's correct. I mean, I think people don't realize how incredibly wonderful they are. I tell my clients all the time that each of them, you know, from the beginning of time to the end of time, there will be nobody like them.
Right.
They are special and unique, and they have special gifts and talents, and we just need to unearth them and find out what it is they're good at and what it is they love to do, and then find out, you know, who can use those skills and that passion that you have for that job. And once we make that connection, that's where the magic happens.
Right, it's very exciting. You know, you can almost recognize when it happens. You just got to get out of the way because you're like, okay, they're on their way now. Everything's working out well.
It's very rewarding. Yeah.
It's definitely very rewarding. And let's talk about, there is some kind of, we've spent a lot of time helping people to network and networking in the right way, but there is a networking etiquette or netiquette. Let's talk about that, because people kind of fall down. They start off correctly, and then something gets lost, and they kind of, some good connections or good potential connections dissipate. Let's talk about how that happens.
You know, I have 3 things to say on that topic. I mean, the first is, I tell my clients, networking is a two-way street. It's not all about you. You have to also participate, and one way to do that is by follow-through. So if someone is kind enough to offer you, to meet you for coffee, we'll be there on time and hopefully be there a little early to get prepared, get settled.
Absolutely.
And then, thank them, in a handwritten note to distinguish yourself from the masses.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes email is appropriate, but if you really want to make a difference, and I've had a contact say to me, that was really nice, your client sent me a really nice little note and saying thank you. The other way to do that is when you're at the coffee shop and you're talking, if the person talks about some area that they're interested in pursuing, if you know an article that's relative to what you've talked about, or a group or an association that you think they might be interested in, email them, tell them about it. Stay connected. You're building a relationship. You're not just trying to find a job, and that's the important.
Absolutely, and I think people forget that piece that, they don't have a job opportunity for now, I'm going to file them.
That's right.
But you never know.
That's right.
You just don't know who's going to connect. I had lunch with someone one day and they said, I'm looking for this kind of a job. And I was like, wow, okay. And I said, I just went to breakfast with someone who had that kind of a job. And he was like, no way. And I said, the person I told at breakfast, I don't know anyone who would fit that bill, but when I come across them, I'll certainly let you know. And it was wild. After lunch, I was like, you won't believe this. And, it led to further things. So you never know what will happen. So you have to keep that energy open. A nice note, a thank you note. Just let you know I'm still job searching. Your suggestion, I followed through on it. I mean, people love to know if you follow through on their advice. Just a simple kind of, after you send a thank you note, in about 2 or 3 weeks, your suggestion of looking in that journal or your suggestion of connecting with that person really helped me go in the right direction. Thank you so much.
That's right. That's right. And in line with what you said, I was thinking of, I had a situation, this was years ago actually when I was at Harvard Management, but that's when I realized my love of networking and connecting people and coaching them. I was on the boat in the morning and I was talking to this woman who had started a business and she was looking for an executive assistant. And that night, I was on the boat and my friend, his girlfriend was on the boat and I had never met her before. So I said, tell me about yourself. And she was telling me about her job, but she wanted to look for another job as an executive assistant. And I said, wait a minute, I think there might be someone on the boat. And I connected them. And
right on the boat.
Right on the boat, and they ended up
fantastic.
Working together. So that's
and so began inclusive coaching.
That's right, exactly.
Fantastic, fantastic. So share some more success stories that's happened since then.
Well, one of them this is a great story. I had a client he was one of like 12 candidates that actually got job offers, but because of the economy, the job offers were reneged, and he was really angry and upset. Understandably. But he really wanted to work there. So I said, well, stay in touch with them. Don't pester them, but just, to the human resources every few months or every, twice a month. And also the hiring manager that would have been his boss. And I have to say, I was impressed. At one point, he ended up going to lunch with the person that would have hired him. Wow. And don't you know, it took 9 months, but he was the only one that got a job back at his company. And he said, Manny, if it wasn't for you keeping me connected to them, I would have fallen off their radar screen.
Right.
So he's like, thank you.
Wow.